Welcome to Pashua's Moment with Pastor Charles Kiyaga.
We are back again on our series of the Pashua's Moment. You know, we do this series to keep you reminded of this message that we must keep track of, that reminds us to turn back to God, to seek God, to make God our source and our strength. Okay? So, we are here back again on our program. And as always, I'm your servant, Pastor Charles. I'm seated here on your great site called Zion, Pashua's Prayer Mountain, a place that is cut out for you, a place where you can come, relax, and wait upon God. Okay? Yesterday, we are looking at man making a name for himself. And we said, if we struggle to make names for ourselves, those names will fade away. But when God gives us a name, that name will never fade away. And God gives us a name if we choose to seek Him. We remember when David decided to build God a house. God told him, "You will not build me a house. I will instead build you a house. For I will give you a name that will never fade." And indeed, God did. God gave David a name. David was here over 4,000 years ago. But David speaks more louder than me who is still living. His name is more pronounced. His name is more celebrated. His name is more impactful than my name. Because God gave him and built him a name. So we said if we seek God, instead of struggling to make a name for ourselves, God will instead make a name for us. And that name will stay through generations. That name will remain unchallenged through generations. So now let us continue. We are here in Genesis chapter 11. Now we want to go to verses 5. But God came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. God came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. I told you the other day, we as human beings, the way we are structured and the ability God endowed on us, we are able to do so much, even minus God. Many of us, when we look at great cities, we start imagining maybe God is here. Because how could man do all this? We see God here coming to see the city and the tower which the sons of men have built. Meaning they built that city and that tower minus God. So building cities and building high scrapers is not a sign that God is with us. We spend a lot of time building a great architectural work, building great buildings, but spend very little in building and creating a bond between us and God, building our hearts towards God. So God comes down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men have built. You could have a great church. May even be boasting, I have the most wonderful church in the city. But you shouldn't boast of that. You should boast of how much you have built the hearts of men towards God. Because I told you, I've traveled all over the world. I've seen, especially in Europe, many churches. And you look at the architecture design and you wonder. They are turned into places for social activities. They have been turned into nightclubs. They have been turned into bars. Many, many churches in Europe. and you look at the architectural designs and you wonder. So, your church should not make you settle. And you say, you know, I've built God a great church. Does God dwell in buildings? No. God dwells in the hearts of men. How much more? How much are we building our hearts towards God? And how much are we building the hearts of our members towards God? Many of us have settled because we have built. We had a vision of building great structures, and we have achieved it and have settled. So God came to see, meaning these people built a city and a tower minus God. You can well build a church or a great structure, but when God is not part of it, as long as we pay no regard or pay enough attention to the way of building our bond and building a relationship with God. I've gone, for instance, I've gone to Vatican. I've gone to St. Peter Basilica. And when you look at that architectural work, you are amazed. But when you are in there, you see it's just a site for tourism. Basically, you even feel it is empty because people have put a lot of work in building buildings, but very little effort and energy in building our hearts and building the hearts of our members towards God. My prayer is, let us not concentrate on building great churches, great auditoriums, but without paying a lot of attention or building a sanctuary in our hearts for God. I want to leave you with that message. Tomorrow we will be here for our prayer vigil. I encourage you to come as we build a sanctuary for God in our hearts.
Eyo yebadde Pursuers Moment ng'ekutuusiddwako essomero lya Pursuers Junior School erisangibwa mu Butambala ku kkubo lya Mpigi Gombe. Kati wulira enkizo eriwo singa otwala omwana wo ku Pursuers Junior School. Interviews za bwereere. Essomero liyimiridde ku musingi ogutya Katonda ate ng'omwana agonjulwa abakugu. Tutumbula ebitone eby'enjawulo mu mwana. Tulina amazzi amayonjo ku ssomero ate ng'omwana bw'asomera ne weyeebaka abanga mukungu. Endya y'abayizi nnungi byansusso anti emmere tugirimira nga ne faamu y'ente weeri ku ssomero. Tulina emmotoka ezitambuza abaana. Pursuers Junior School e Butambala tusomesa abaana okuva mu baby class okutuuka ku kibiina ekyomusanvu mu Dene boarding. Okumanya ebisingawo 0772 41 98 4 ne 0702 36 41 64. Pursuers Junior School Butambala, in pursuit of knowledge.